My name is Ronaldo Castillo, better known on social media as Self-Made Ronaldo, via TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, recently came to YouTube. What I do is I do comedy, I do reality videos, I do actual videos, and most importantly, I advocate for HIV and AIDS. I was diagnosed from birth, right? But based on experiences, I could probably say, according to when I came to the realization of my status, which was I was 12 years old then, 11 to 12 years old. The experience, it had a lot of ups and downs. Mainly the ups come from, well, I grew up in an orphanage, right? So the orphanage has, it's everyone HIV positive. Even though we take medication to remain undetectable and stuff, everyone is in the same shoes. So that was the kind of up. It was like a support system. But at the same time, the downs was like something about the, it follows you everywhere you go. You enter a new school, it follows you. You move into a new area, it follows you. You don't know how. It just follows you, you know. Even, you see, I believe, I believe most of the discrimination and all, it led to lack of understanding, and based on that, if, like when COVID came out, a lot of people was taking procedures. There was even advertising for free. Wear your mask, do this, wash your hand, cover your mouth when you sneeze. You understand? With HIV, you don't get these things with HIV and AIDS. People who not even of the status fear to give somebody awareness because they fear somebody watch them like they in the shoes. So the experiences had ups and downs, you know, more downs I would believe. The positive experience I had with my status coming up is the fact that um, when I was always an intellectual person. So based on the conversation we have is how much I would open up. And the positivity with it is once I open up to you, I used to get that welcoming, effect in that instance, even though is less I would open up than somebody briefs me about not even HIV AIDS, you know. But the positivity would it don't even have much positivity when I think about it. I would just base on more mindset with me. And more too because coming out of the orphanage, aside from me and the downfalls I had been going through, it could be family, even relationships. It had a lot of downs too. Yeah, so I grew up seeing not only me, but other people facing it the same way. You understand? So, what I'm going to say is based on the years of developing information and experience and understanding and stuff, right? So how I ended up in a home was, well, my mom had two children before me. She was HIV negative. She didn't have the virus, right? She had two children before me. She met my dad, in which my dad he had the virus, and he didn't disclose his status to her. He transmitted the virus to her. She contracted the virus unknowingly. The thing is, years ago, it was different to now. Now it's mandatory when it comes to tests and stuff, right? Yes, correct. So back then it was mandatory. So no, my apologies. It was not mandatory. My humble apologies. It was not mandatory back then. So she contracted the virus unknowingly to her. I was born. She got pregnant with me. I was born and she started to breastfeed me. And that is how I contracted the virus, right? After that, a year prior and some months after, she got pregnant with my sister and after me. Now, do note that the phase in her life at the moment, it wasn't sung, you know, right? So when she was pregnant with my other sister, months, and she ended up in the hospital. Same time, my father had developed AIDS, in which he was dying, right? And he started to tell her he have an alterated stomach. He didn't tell her what it was, you know, and she still was breastfeeding me. Then he come and die. When he died now, is then the doctors ran the autopsy and what they did and realized he had the virus and she had contracted. They ran tests on me. I already had the virus. So from there, my they advised her that me you're done breastfeeding him already, right? The child in your stomach advise you not to breastfeed the child. They could join clinic, medication, become undetectable, etc. Right? So now with my case now, I was born in 1999. Wendy Fitzwilliams won Miss Universe in 1998, and I believe she funded the orphanage same time prior, so everything was all active, you know. So you see, doctors really me, recommend me taking me away from her and putting me into the orphanage. Understand where to have proper health care and growing up, you know. So that is how I really end up in the orphanage. So growing up as a child, it was it was more stressful. Well, we didn't understand stress, so I would say more um okay. In the home, it didn't had no hate. It had love. Yes, it used to have a little misunderstanding and thing, you know. But everybody know the home to be a AIDS home, as how they call it, right? So everybody is a street where it known. So go in the home, it had the love. Anything outside the home, like schools, it had a maxi used to carry us to school. The whole school would be like, that is the AIDS bus. He come from the AIDS home, or them is the AIDS children, you know. So in the home, it wasn't a problem, but from the time you step outside the home, it's a big problem. You understand? So you got introduced to stigma attached to the virus at a really young age. At a very young age. It had this guy before 11 years old. I was young. I had know of my status, but I didn't understand it clearly, right? So it didn't really, I didn't used to study it at that moment, you know. An incident happened with our next boy, and he was not taking his medication and stuff. And due to discrimination, had him not taken it, he used to say, why is this son he taking medication for not to get AIDS? And everybody still saying this person have AIDS, right? Yes, yes, he was also, right? And this guy ended up come and get AIDS and he nearly died, right? He came back to HIV and undetectable today, thank God and stuff, right? And at that time he was 11, both of you were 11 years old. He was my age bracket. He could a few years older. Okay, sure. You know? Yeah. And we had a talk like years after, not years, months after. And he was telling me no matter what is I get to understand is the discrimination that led to him prompted him to feel just, you know, he might as well just not bother to take his medication. Correct, that's right. You know, and within that I get to understand that from then he wasn't the only problem. The only person going through that problem is a good few of them, and it used to really discourage you from taking medication. It's like, why is the sense to take it for? Even though we know, but remember we're children too. Yeah, if you understand, you know. So within that, I don't know. I guess from there, I stem with the mindset of wanting to fix that problem. Like from 11 years old, I had a mindset that, you know, we have to see our difference. There's mad, you know, a whole, it's 30 something of us. You know, at 11, I come to my understanding with certain stuff and thing, right? I find it was so ridiculous that each one of us striving the best daily to take that medication just not to get AIDS, as they say, you know, and still be in class as AIDS, you know. And I see people left the home, 90% of the people left haven't left with a stable foundation. And on top of this going on in their life, most of them left the home with trauma. You understand? And stuff now. So at that time, I was like, somebody have to make a change. And if it takes me to do that, I would be the one, you know? Because at the moment too, when the home had people come in to do anything, I used to be the one to say thanks, the one to say you're welcome, the prayers, you know. Um, I don't know if you know they did an interview with me when I was at 12 years old. No? Okay, I recently posted it on TikTok, you know. So, yeah, and I decided to take that stand from ever since. Now, I didn't decide to do it on my own for myself, but I always look for somebody because it had bigger people than me too. Always look forward to somebody to just come out who in the shoes, you know, because it's different. Okay, this is how I watch it. Before that, well, coming up, the only time I hear about this is from the ministry. Good. Other than that, you will hear about it, right? Now, I used to watch it like when the ministry posts something, right? It 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 just gives it a professional look. You understand? But it doesn't leave an impact that people would act on because it's something that they are accustomed with. If you understand what I'm saying now, you know. So and then too is ministry. The ministry is not something that could live with this. The ministry is not a person, it's an organization to say. You understand? So I always look forward to this type of person who understand the shoes and could come and, you know, disclose and make a difference. And it so happened I was years after. So now I know somebody living with HIV and AIDS. It's not easy to do what I did, right? A lot of people will be like, how you build up the courage or how you get the courage to do this. But in reality, it took years of me building that courage. You know, like I can remember when I was 15 years old, I saw a woman come out on Facebook with her status from Trinidad. She got million views, likes, comments, she got recognition. You know, and I was like, finally, this is a person. And then day after day, nothing else. You know, she would post anything else but talking about that. No education, nothing. So I get all hype thinking, well, she gonna finally educate people, you know, she living with it and they acknowledge and that was it, you know. So at 15 years old is when I make up the mind to do it myself, you know. And now I know I couldn't just come out with my status just so who's this person? And you know. So I create a page called Empowering Youths slash Life Skills, where I started to do my own quotes and stuff. My main plan was to build up a fan base and then venture into this, into HIV and AIDS, right? You know. And after years, 2 years, it didn't do so proper. You know, I only reached like 500 and something followers. But it had this guy only begging me about TikTok. Join TikTok, he would, you know, after years, and he would make and stuff. But I'm like, I joined TikTok, I ran the account, did, I posted all sorts of videos building my fan base first, you know, until I reached like 11,000 followers, and then I came out with my status. Now, before I came out with my status, I know coming out it would have been it would have leave an impact. It could be good, it could be bad. Some will be good and some will be bad, you know. So before the time, at least whole time I'm in TikTok, I used to give hints, you know. I used to give a lot of hints like I grew up in a home. They would know the type of home. I used to tell them, well, I have an interview coming up with, you know, which I was to disclose my status. It was really supposed to do in an interview. And, you know, so I used to do all this stuff, you know. The day when I came out, the reaction was the first day, I'm being real, it was more than I expected in a good and a bad way. It's like that day I literally felt like 1 minute I over happy, next minute I want to faint, next minute I'm cold sweating. I couldn't even watch my phone because the comments and even good comments would be touching. It was like a whole lot of mixed emotions. On top of that, well, it didn't really had negative, probably two negative out of 1,000, which is less than 2%, you know. Um, but it was just mixed emotions. I had to switch off my phone because it started to reach a point where it nearly traumatized me again. The comments, they started to give so much sympathy that it carried me back in a phase like if I nearly lose myself again. I being real. I nearly break back that spirit in an instance. I literally had to switch off my phone and put it away for the whole day until the next day because the reaction was so much. It was so much. And it's not to say people saying bad things, but some of the things will be so intense, you know, that
just woke back up that trauma that you experienced.
correct.
And of course, all the work that you did over the years to be able to build that fortitude, you just kind of broke those things back down.
Correct. Especially the part with one thing was started to replay in my mind that day is like, why me? Why me? And that is why I break away from.
Yeah.
I used to go through that from years coming up. I break away from that. On
Because
that
of
day,
why you had to
get this and stuff. On that day, that came back to my mind. And I came off for good. And with all of the anticipation, I was like, why I had to be the one to get this? And I break down and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. And I could not. I had to pause on my phone. Remember, I grew up in a home, right? So the courage stemmed from peers growing up in the home. Now I saw people left and the condition, family, this own people who left the home, they literally come back. Family, this own people, some people don't want to adopt, although it had a few good, mostly like staff will adopt children. So from the home, aside from the children in the home, when I came out in life, remember I came out young too, right? Since 13, 14, you know. I had my face too with the discrimination. Now, when I
When
left,
you mean that you would have disclosed your status at that age to people outside of the home? What do you mean?
that was a weird thing. I didn't have to. It followed me everywhere,
Okay.
and it was impossible to understand it. Even recently, 2 years ago, I moved into where I live in now. And within the first month, a neighbor in the area I live was start to talk, I have AIDS. And I like, how?
Yeah.
How is this? If you understand what I'm saying, each gas everywhere I go. And that time I didn't come out as yet. And it was talking in my neighborhood like 2 years ago. But so aside from that, what made me really push to come out, aside from the people I had my face to where even relationship, if I tell you, there are people I was held hostage in relationship and all of my status, you know, in an instance that
Explain that to me when you say that to say that you were held hostage, that's a very strong statement. So what do you mean exactly by that?
okay. So I always know it have people. I'm not talk for recently since I'm come out with my status. Right, I was in a relationship before I come out with my status. A matter of fact, I was already on TikTok, have followers and stuff. Right, I was with this female, and she had known of my status. She know I was undetectable. We used to have intercourse. She haven't contracted nothing, right? And it was like, if I leave, the world would know my status. This was her
So
statement.
she basically was threatening you, threatening to, and I don't know want to use the word would out, because again, I feel like that plays into stigma as well. But she was threatening to tell, to disclose your status, even though you were unprepared at that time to do that.
Correct. And the thing is, now she know it was part of my plan to come out in life, you know. Actually, I was working on it the same year prior, you know, and she threatened me. And it was bad for me too, and I literally could not live. I actually left 2 weeks after, and she did it.
She actually
She
told.
actually started to talk, you know. But now within the 2 weeks, she was chatting me about my status. She had already been telling people. People have already been calling me and letting me know, hey, how you could be with somebody who telling people you have AIDS, you know, not even HIV. She not even telling them about
Okay, so
tablets,
you're
nothing,
undetectable. You're
nothing. All
undetectable
she
on
tell
HIV.
them is, I have AIDS, and if you feel a lie, and you tell her that you grew up in a home, you grew up in a AIDS home.
Wow.
You understand? So all I
You
was,
violated that trust that you
you
gave.
understand? Yeah. So
Um,
since,
yeah, no, okay.
mm, but since that, it it kind of broke me down when it comes to communicating emotionally with women in a way. Like now, people could tell me all sort of stuff, and I've been really when it matters. Don't get me wrong, but what I mean is that my trust level, it real weak now. You know, one of the main reasons why I wanted to come out with my status too, aside from a better leaving a great impact, because I know that was the first one before I even think of relationships. But coming up, even relationship wanted me to push more with my status because it was difficult telling people a status, you know. It had the time you would tell somebody a status and they would shut down everything even though they agreed that you could share anything and they still would be there for you, no matter what it is, you know. And when that reach, it's just too much, you know, and this sort of thing. So that's all it difficult to tell people let's start us out, you know. Really, it difficult. I was on a live and somebody bring up the question to me if I would have tell females my status, right? Said yes, you know, but not because I do it means I would say somebody wrong if they don't do it. I would like if somebody disclose their status to their significant other, if so, or the person they're interested in. But I can't say that this is right for this person to do because it's not something that you could do just so. You need to build up, especially that mental state of mind, you know, because you could come out with a status and it flip for the worse, you know. So I will it have yeah, I will tell some people out there if they're not able or if they're not, you know, if they're not ready, if they're not capable of coming out with their status as yet, don't. You know, I just tell people that some people watch up to me and tell me, "By I wanna be like you, why you have to come on your live and come out with my status? You can help me come out." And I just tell them I
You
could.
encourage them to do it like on their own time when they are fully
Yes,
prepared,
correct.
because it's
I
difficult when they
always
do.
tell them that because aside from me, you can't watch my, if you know,
Your
and
journey and
yes,
put it into their
and
like
you,
yes.
you understand, it will be. Now the thing with me is, it's not like I does. Remember, I built up this courage for years. Somebody who haven't, it will break them. It will quick. You understand? I does probably still have negativity coming my way, but just the fact that my mindset stick on one direction, I don't seem to, you know, remember my whole life that was like, hey, that was a stress, like for real, you know. Anyways, thank God I overcome that stage, you know. Going back out at the start, it wasn't as easy as it looked, or I didn't have the flow that I had now because there, especially in the earlys, is when they had to deal with the comments, the people who not sure, who spreading wrong information, who saying this wrong and that wrong, and they never do a research. You understand? It's so I had to deal. That part was like if I make a video talking about undetectable, people will flood the comments. Some people will say it's true, while some people say no, that's wrong. It's have a percentage still possible, 1% up, you know. And they will be telling you do your research, but the thing is they never even do their research because where's the closest research? Google. Google will tell you it's 100%. You understand my point? So that kind of had me like pushing back to back to back to back to back. You understand? What they do, the strategy. I bring the videos in a pattern and make them understand what is HIV and AIDS first. Then I make them understand what is the meaning of undetectable. Different ways. Then I make them understand what the main reason for the tablets is for. you know, and it's so I was going. So I think one of the main reasons why people used to opt out of like when they hear the status, instead they start to adhere and take care of themselves, they will choose the next direction. Is because again lack of understanding that left a stigma that led to discrimination. You understand? So most of the people at a point in time, most of the people who go for a test, like most of the people who go for a test is either they get feeling something wrong, they had intercourse. That is a bigger percentage. A smaller percentage will do the regular checkups, right? The bigger percentage will do this when something do happen, right? So in that case, most of the people who are tested HIV or AIDS, most of the tests will come out AIDS. Reason being, and before I jump into the reason, most of the tests would come out AIDS, right? Coming up where everybody know AIDS to be at that sentence. You understand? So when they see AIDS, even last year, when they see the test say AIDS, they go and dead. This is their mindset, that they're going to dead. So why is the science doing this for? And I going and die. Better just live my life. And that's why some people used to just jump into the stupid mindset. Well, let me go and give people not studying that eventually they could reinfect themselves and make themselves even more worse.
With another strain of
Correct, correct.
like a
Super. That's it. That's not it. It do have something called super infection.
oh,
So there's reinfection and there's super infection. Super infection is where two or more strains, well, three, could remain in your body and not blend. Your body could literally hold more than one strain,
oh, and
but that is
with that
very
in
rare.
that case that person medication available enough able to treat with that? Is
Mm,
that
mm,
situation as well?
I don't think that part there is anything to do with the medication because how the medication goes, right? is- oh, okay. The HIV is something that's deal with your immune system. Remember, everybody have a different immune system. So your system would give a different reaction to mine, to hers. You understand? So with the okay, if somebody got HIV today, or two people going to clinic today, they had sex the same day and gone to clinic today, the same day is a possibility the two of them could get different medication. You understand? I'm undetectable. I know people who are undetectable. I take, thank God, now today. I take one tablet a day, every day for my whole life, right? There's people who are undetectable and taking two, three, four, five tablets. You understand? So the medication doesn't really go with like that. Understand? Reason why I would say it is very important to take antiretroviral therapy, better known as HIV medication, for your status is because without this medication, there is no way you are going to become better. The only thing is going to happen, it will multiply in your system. Now, We know some people might live years, months. We don't know. Everybody different. You understand? Somebody could have AIDS today and walking healthy amongst us and we're not sure. They're not even sure of how bad their status is. And in that case now, when your body, this is why I was coming to this just now. This is why some people, when they get reach AIDS, some people will die and some people will be able to come back. You understand? So it have some people that wait too long to go and take a test to start with. That's why I always say get tested, get tested, get tested. Someone could get contract or develop full blown AIDS in average 6 months. It could go more rarely, but the average time span to develop full blown AIDS is in 6 months. You understand? So this is why I does preach get tested. So
And then so there are some people who would not the virus doesn't actually, blow up as fast as that. There are some people who might go on for years too. So that too is also an important reason why they should get tested
correct.
because they would be unaware of their status and can spread this disease. And through no fault of their own, they simply did not get any symptoms and they don't know. So
Correct.
it's really
It's true.
a virus that, it doesn't discriminate.
You know, and the thing is, you could live a normal, healthy life. I know somebody today who is 96 years old now, and that woman strong. I just call she moms. I say, moms, I don't know, you that's no strong. Allow me today, moms. You know? Yeah, and this is why I want people to understand it's not that sentence. You can live a long, healthy life if anybody tell you it's not that sentence they lie. And if you do see somebody or you know somebody die with it, it's because they either take too long, it has some will live in denial, you understand, and all these kind of things. And if I tell you, right, most of the people who does discriminate HIV and AIDS is people who don't have it or people who not sure if they have it or not, right? But the thing is, you know that people who don't have it discriminating someone with HIV is making themselves who doesn't have it putting themselves in jeopardy. Because when you discriminating people in the shoes, why you feel people now don't want to come out and tell you the status? And people afraid to say this and afraid to do that because the world discriminating it. So what they gonna do? They afraid to do it and they spreading it. You understand? Instead of you normalize the thing and everybody get to understand it and we live as one. You understand? You could have a wife, a husband, you could make children, they ain't even bound together. You could carry on generations. You understand? You know?
What are your thoughts on this? Because I know that the regional director for UNE has been advocating for more countries to include PrEP in their campaign to combat against the spread of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
But our Ministry of Health often instead to not do that and, only have the medication available, I think, for, public health officials. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, at first, I find it was poor. I find that it didn't make sense at first. This is how I find it didn't make sense because if you want to work on getting rid of something or minimizing something, this is one of the greatest things. So, refrain this. As they know, prep or pep, it have prep and pep. This work 99% good once taken as prescribed, the way it is prescribed, once you take it the right way.
And just to explain to our audience what PrEP is.
Prep is a tablet that helps you, helps prevent you from contracting the HIV virus. So to simplify it, there's substances in the tablet that goes into your system before you could develop HIV to that extent. Once you take PrEP the way it is prescribed, there's substances in the tablet that will fight off the system. Remember, at the start, your body is not badly damaged where it will overtake your body as yet. You understand? So PrEP, once taken as prescribed and in the right timing, it works 100%. No, sorry, 99% well. It works.
Yeah.
Most people who take PrEP actually, once they take it the right way, they really does not contract the virus. I was saying, yeah, it didn't make sense, But recently, when I think about it, the rate of HIV and AIDS before to now, it lessened. I know the number's still huge. We sure of this. But the rate lesson, like long time you would get adults, any bracket range contracting HIV. Now, you're hardly even getting babies born with HIV. You understand? So now I don't know if remember they're working on a program to end AIDS by a certain
By
time too,
2050.
by 2050. So I don't know if that is part of why they don't think it makes sense to bring in the tablet when they're trying to work on, getting rid of this.
The theme for this year's World AIDS Day is Let Communities Lead, right?
Let community.
Let communities lead. Can you tell me, what this theme means to you in the context of what you do advocating, educating, and so on?
So aside from TikTok though and social media, off of social media, I actually associate with a workshop. I have youth start as a time of workshop, all HIV positive, and it's like also a community, Now with a community, it's always greater than one. I actually like that slogan, let community lead. You understand? Now, support system is a real serious thing when it comes to HIV and AIDS. Due to lack of understanding, you would hardly get support system. And support system in meaning somebody who just accept this is your status because they have no choice. Because they had to rock the same path with you. They just accept that. Aside from that, somebody who understand and not just accept, but also inspiring you and pushing you to do, to stay on certain aspect in life and stuff now. You know, this community, this community lead is a very good slogan. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. In the workshop, it's I have approximately 30 something participants involved. I mainly ranging from the age 15 could be the youngest, going up to about 25, 26 could be the eldest. Each of us are HIV positive. Um, at the start of the workshop, it was like more to start a program where we would develop the support system, starting with youths, and we have big visions that I will speak about here for later on that will lead to more countrywide and stuff now. But for now, it rise from the number of 7 to 30 something people now. So what we do is at the workshop is actually, before I say what we do at the workshop, I'm actually, when I say I'm an advocate, not just on TikTok and social media, I'm actually the one that they all turn to, the youths. It's so fun now that if they have a medication problem, they short in medication, they won't even call the doctor, they will call Ronaldo. You understand now, right?
Yeah.
And I would really put it in place for them and then call them back while they will go and collect it, so by sort of as the case. So at the workshop, we provide support system, most importantly, information about HIV and AIDS. We provide one of the main reason of me being a part of this workshop and thing or doing this workshop is more to help mentally. Because if you're not strong mentally, then you could go get problems physically, emotionally, however else. You understand? Especially living with HIV. Once your mental state of mind is not strong enough, it could break you down to a lot of different levels and different aspects.
But what is your support system like?
I think before I go into my family, I think I make my support system the public. I make that so. If you understand. they really,
But explain it still.
okay, meaning to say, now, I don't know if I have a personal support system because I do really have people that I just call and remember with what I do, I talk to people about their situation every day. Somebody would call me. Aside from TikTok, that is my job too with youths, and they tell me certain situation, how they develop this, how they coping from A to Z,
This is the
So
workshop that you mentioned.
yes. So due to the fact that I am always the one, or I choose to be the one to help people and inspire them and push them. Now, it always, I don't put my problem on people, or at least that's how I just feel with everybody. Like if I telling somebody something about me, I like already know you have a baggage, and I take in my baggage now to put it on you. You understand? That's what I do. So what I do is going to the public. Some of the stories I share and some of the questions I ask, it ain't even meant to be a question, it was meant to be a statement. Some statements I make, it was meant to be a question. You understand? And so I just really use the public as my support system. Sometime I will go live and I will just chat, and it will have people coming in. Some people will come in, same status with me. Although I don't disclose them, they will be on my life normal and thing, nobody knows that's their shoe, you know. Sometimes somebody will be in my life and they'll be like, but I don't know how it is to live with that, At time I know they live with it. You understand? But yeah, so I turn to the public as my support system, you know. With family, sorry. With family, my family accept me due to the fact that I have a big family, but I don't know much of my family because I grew up in an orphanage. When I left, I'm 13 years old, um, and most of my life I was living alone, you know. So I
So
left
at
this.
13, you're still a minor. Where did you go after that? Did you not like return to your family or how
At
did that work?
no, well, at 13, I went with my mom. From my mom, I went into with some of them. I went into transition in home and Canopia, and there is where things go haywire. Anybody reach there end up out here just doing whatever they could. You know, they don't bong. You would get to leave. They don't care if you have parents, if you have somebody to adopt you, this that just come out to play it that way. And this is why
So the
most of the
management
people.
system there, they weren't really strict, so you would, it's like they get you there, you're everywhere, you didn't really have that strict
No,
guardianship.
they strict. But what I mean is that, I don't know, they build up this way or just as something happen, they pay out. That kind of way. Most of the people who leave the home, Tunapuna and the Canopia, in bad shoes today. Some people sleeping in savannah, some people sleeping in shelter. Right, help.
Yeah.
But I have an interview
So
coming
like,
up soon to talk about that.
okay. So you left the transition at home at 18.
No. When I went by my mom at 13, I went back into the transition and home by 14, going in 14. I left there at 14 years old,
Okay.
and I was out here.
Okay. Taking care of yourself?
And that is why I feel I just stress so much today, because I grew up seeing about stress through stressing. Think about at 13 years old, you can't get a job, you're underage. I had to pay rent, so I started off going to school. It wasn't benefiting because I was getting eviction notice and stuff. So I had to get a
So
job.
you were living on your own as a teenager, trying to go to school and trying to support
Yeah, I
yourself.
was literally on my own. No guardian, no aunt, no mother, no father. Me. I was paying my rent, my toiletries, groceries. I was on my own most of my life, from 14. And I went put the blame game on nobody. I accept what I've been through, and I would say probably God made me went through that far great cause today. You understand? You know, but it really wasn't easy. It was very stressful. I do all kind of thing. I'm not gonna lie. A young boy out here on his own. Think about the influences. A lot. Bad influences. Nobody not perfect. You know, I was young and I was caught up at a point in time. In certain lifestyle and thing. Cause it's me. I living in a neighborhood, a young boy by myself. So you will encourage big men and big women in your life. It's not children because you doing big man and big woman stuff. You seeing about priorities and you working and started to smoke and all these different things now. And so the influences, I had roads. We're not perfect. I did little bad stuff. Um, I just always was fighting for cutting my life short. Most of it is because I thought I really wanted to be this person I am today. I wanted to make a difference, not just for me, because it's not even for me or it's not even for the next generation, but the upcoming generation. You understand? I want eventually this HIV thing, it should be like a cold because that is what it is. Hey, that person is HIV. Okay, it are tablets too, and move on. You understand? Instead of serious, you understand the point? You know. So I just had visions, and I was getting caught up real soon. I started to get myself in problems, and
When you say getting caught up, you mean like crime, criminals, the whole line.
yeah, everything along the line. I was young. I was going through it and still have my good character on his side. Now, I'm in a neighborhood, 13 years old. Everybody look up to me. The youngest boy in the hood doing the biggest set of stuff. If you understand what I'm saying. So I always had this good look up to, most of the the crime and thing was more influences. If you understand what I'm saying. Um,
And of course, it's easy to be influencers because they're young.
and then too, I not even working for good pay. I remember working this guy telling me I get $50 a day, and that was only like 10 years ago. It's still no different in the rates. You understand? $50 a day from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the night, and doing everything with cars. I trained for so-called I so-called trained for 8 months straight at $50 a day. I so-called train for until a day I work like by thing and when I do find out the price range and what I was getting done to man. I went and carried I went and carried to the boss man. He had know of my status too then. I talked to him about the pay. He told me training. Say well, I was still be training. Training must be 3 months. Thing, the 3 months up long time. And he told me and you're not supposed to be working here because health's a charge and the status. I was young, I didn't even know that stupidity what you saying there. That had nothing to do with your status, had nothing to do with your job. To start with, you didn't sign no blood test. You sign a resume for your qualifications to get this job, you understand?